So today, Doug Marrone was fired from the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I think all fans can agree that this is something that definitely should have happened given the recent success or lack thereof in the past few years. But the real question we need to actually know is, was Doug Marrone really given a fair shot? So Doug Marrone really came on the scene for me in 2014 after he actually led a Buffalo Bills team to a 9-7 record. And this was actually Buffalo's first winning season since 2004. Barely missed out on the playoffs, and then oddly enough, Doug Marrone decided that he was not going to be the coach of the Buffalo Bills anymore. First time I've ever really seen anybody step away from a head coaching job. And I think that he was banking on being able to get the job with the New York Jets. And New York Jets wound up going with defense coordinator Todd Bowles. So Doug Marrone wound up joining the Jaguars coaching staff for the 2015 season and actually served as the offensive line coach for 2015 and 2016. Before the last two games of the year, Doug Marrone actually served as the interim head coach for the Jaguars after Gus Bradley's firing, and he led the Jaguars to a 1-1 record that year. Later on, Doug Marrone was actually promoted to the full-time head coach, and this wasn't a year like 2020, or I guess 2021, I should say, where there was a lot of options available for the Jaguars at head coach. It seems like right now with the Jaguars being able to get Trevor Lawrence and having all this draft capital and money to spend, it seems like the Jaguars can really have their choice of most anybody they really want to. You know, they have maybe the best, if not the second best, behind the Los Angeles Chargers coaching position available out there. But the big thing holding the Jaguars back is that they wanted to hire somebody that was going to work with Blake Bortles, and because of that restraint, we were not able to get guys like Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay and stuff like that. I mean, the job kind of closed up and really limited to a certain few people, and Doug Marrone was one of those guys that was actually going to say that, look, I will roll into 2017 with Blake Bortles as my starting quarterback. So when you look at Doug Marrone, he served 4 full seasons as a Jaguars head coach. 2017 was awesome. Obviously 10-6 AFC Championship game. All that was great, but turned out to be a big fluke of a year. I mean, a quarter of our games were against TJ Yates, Tom Savage, Jacoby Brissett. We played what was at the time like a pretty bad AFC North. Like we played like the 0-16 Browns, and we played the NFC West. It was just a very favorable schedule for the Jaguars, and we just happened to have a really good matchup with the Steelers, and we played a bad Buffalo team. Honestly, a Tyrod Taylor-led Buffalo team where we won like 10-7 or something that game. So really, when you look at it, it was a fluke year because it shows the years after, because 2018 Jaguars went 5-11, 2019 6-10, and then 2020 we went 1-15. So there were certain things around the reason why Doug Marrone really failed as the head coach. First of all, the quarterback situations were pretty bad. When you look at the quarterbacks that Doug Marrone had, he had Blake Bortles, Cody Kessler, Nick Foles, Gardner Minshew, Mike Glennon, and Jake Luton. Bad quarterbacks. I mean, I guess some are worse than others. People would probably make the argument that Gardner Minshew is good. I personally don't think he is, but at the end of the day, none of these guys are anything close to being franchise quarterbacks. So that's kind of what he had to work with at quarterback, and that was obviously very difficult for him. But I thought a real turning point when it comes to this whole team, this coaching job, came in 2019 after week 2 of the season when Jalen Ramsey demanded to be traded after the Houston Texans game. I think this game, it really came out and kind of detailed really how bad the culture was with the Jaguars. It was so bad where, absentee owner Shad Khan had to come in and talk to Jalen Ramsey, being like, yo, like, what is going on right now? And while I don't necessarily agree with some of the stuff that Jalen Ramsey did when it comes to quitting on his team and whatnot, you can still learn from different circumstances like this and understand how you can prevent it in the future. And it turned out that just Tom Coughlin had a horrible dynamic with the team. And then later on in the year, like before the season even ended, the NFLPA put out a statement basically saying, like, look, be careful if you're going to sign with the Jaguars because they have all these grievances against the team. And, it pretty much all led to Tom Coughlin. And then once that came out, Shad Khan really had no other thing to do, but he uh, had to fire Tom Coughlin just to kind of save the reputation with the team. He said, "Look, like I was gonna fire him eventually, had to do it now just to kind of save face over here." So that came out, and then it was just a weird dynamic. I mean, you stuck, Doug Marrone with Tom Coughlin, and then with Dave Caldwell, and I couldn't think of a kind of a more different trio when it comes to the Tom Coughlin, Dave Caldwell, Doug Marrone dynamic, where Doug Marrone reported directly to Tom Coughlin. And if it was anything to me, I think that Tom Coughlin was really meddling around a lot with just the football operations when it comes to like coaching and how to handle different things on a field because he wasn't just an executive. I mean, he was out on the practice field. He was out there. I think he even had a whistle in his mouth. I mean, he was out there. I mean, he was almost serving as another coach, which obviously, if you're a head coach, you don't really want that. So it was not an ideal situation to stick Doug Marrone into. And just I guess the big downfall, I guess probably the biggest downfall when it comes to Doug Marrone, and this was ultimately in control. It was just his late season meltdown, I guess mid-season meltdowns we can call it. In 2018, the Jaguars started 3-1. It was an awesome start. I mean, the Jaguars beat the Patriots, and they were like number one in so many different power polls. And then after that, 7 straight losses. Not good. In 2019, the team started 4-4. Then had some division matchups coming up. They lost 5 games in a row, all by 17 or more points. Wasn't good. And then obviously in 2020, the Jags started off 1-0 with that crazy victory against the Colts and then 15 losses in a row. Obviously this year with this roster, there was not much you could really do because the roster was just horrible. But at the end of the day, like, maybe if you have like Sean Payton, he squeaks out like 3 or 4 more wins. But at the end of the day, no coach can really win with this roster. But at the end of the day, where the Jaguars sit right now, like I was just begging Shad Khan, begging him to fire Dave Caldwell because, this head coaching job and this GM job will never be more attractive than it is right now. Obviously we have 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, 2 fourth-round picks, all kinds of picks in this draft. Number 1 overall pick, first pick in each round of the draft, and also the opportunity to draft Trevor Lawrence, who everybody knows is just a consistent top guy. Whether you as a fan believe it or not, all the people, all the scouts, all the coaches out there, believe that he is like the top guy out there. So, you're never going to have this much cap. You're never going to have this much draft ammunition, and you're never going to really have the opportunity to get a quarterback like this, really a quarterback prospect like this. Obviously, if you go to Houston or the Los Angeles Chargers, you're going to have franchise quarterbacks in place. But, right now, when it comes to the ability to draft a quarterback, there's never been a more sure thing in recent history than Trevor Lawrence has been. But obviously, Doug Marrone really did need to go because at the end of the day, was Doug Marrone a bad coach? I don't think he was necessarily a bad coach, but what is his upside? I just don't see a lot of upside with Marrone. He's no offensive guru. I thought that he was a little bit wishy-washy with how he was as a coach. In 2017, he came in as this big, like, hard ass, and then he started just getting more lenient as the years went on. And I don't know, it just didn't seem like it just didn't seem like he was a very good coach at the end. But obviously, like I said, he didn't get a very fair shake in different things. But when the Jaguars hired him, they were definitely tied when it comes to actually hiring him. And this is a little bit of an emotional kind of thing for me personally, because on this channel, my very first video as a Jaguars YouTuber was on the Marrone hiring. The whole entire time I've been a Jaguars YouTuber, I've been a YouTuber, Doug Marrone has been a head coach. So it's a new era for me, new GM, new head coach. I remember because I rewatched the 2017, that video I made 4 years ago. And, I was actually on board with getting Doug Marrone because I thought at the time, I was thinking that this was the safest thing to do. Like me personally, I was like, and it's amazing because I started this channel when I was 23 years old, and just the way, because I was obviously very young then. I'm 27 now. I've learned a lot of football since then. I've really evolved my mind around it, and it is crazy to see kind of the differences of opinions that I have. Because back then, I was on board with getting Doug Marrone or Rick Smith because I was like, look, these guys have proven that they've won before. I think these are the guys. I would not go after a Kyle Shanahan. I would not go after a Sean McVay because I thought those were too risky. I know now, especially when it comes to the whole like Urban Meyer stuff I've been talking about, like the best thing to do right now is we have to take a risk. We can't go out there and just be status quo, go with the safe bet because right now, obviously I want Urban Meyer. But if you're to go the safe route in this, the safest route right now is Jim Caldwell, the former Detroit Lions head coach, or Marvin Lewis, the former Bengals head coach. But at this point, man, we need to really nail one out of the park. We need to get a grand slam at this point. And that's why I'm kind of after the whole Urban Meyer thing. So obviously Urban Meyer would be good. The Iowa State head coach is also a good option. So there's a lot of different stuff going on, and we are in really an awesome time to really be able to get like our head coach. So yeah, I guess this is a salute to Doug Marrone. I made a video earlier. Did not think that video was good justice, so I had to make another one just kind of touching on whether he got a fair shake. I don't think Doug Marrone got a very fair shake at the end of the day, but also limited upside. Obviously, this head coach job will never be more attractive than now. We just needed a new culture to come in here. We need fresh faces, and at the end of the day, I commend Shad Khan for doing what was right. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please drop a like on the video if you enjoyed. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at UCF_Jaguar. Guys, we're almost at 10,000 subscribers. Super excited. But thank you guys for watching. Go Jags.